I'm still buffering. Okay, there we go. Yeah, apologies for the little bit of a delay, everyone. Had technical difficulties, coffee's falling all over the place. Chris was ready to drop kick his computer. It's all kind of stuff going on in here. Um, but how damn, how's everybody doing out there? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. That sounds like somebody was watching some murder shit or somebody getting dragged.
No, somebody. It sounded like somebody almost hit some shit out there.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, Gregory, we just clicked onto Rockfin. And I see Tammy's in the building. I see Baba. Glad to see everybody in here.
What's up, everyone?
We're back. I see everybody's getting here sooner, so I will go on ahead and I will kick the intro, and then it seems like my computer's doing a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe since I've been playing around with it more, it seems like it's more alive and awake. Maybe it needs to do some stretches and calisthenics or something. Let's see. I see Thomas is in the building. But yeah, let's go on ahead and get this party started.
You were here because you have a question. Really get down to understanding this political matrix.
Out there, the stunt double. He walked out. He's got an oximeter on his back. I'm like, you gotta keep other. Marcus said on his other show. He was like, American politics is simply pro wrestling.
He became afraid of everyone because people were reporting on each other.
We're living out Minority Report too as well. And you know why? You know why we know that, boss? Because we've been reporting on it. Yeah, I know.
All the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation.
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Put a couple of clips together.
It's crazy to see how much Martin Luther King really began to look like, damn, man, Malcolm was fucking right.
I mean, what is the elite's end game?
There's this assumption that as a black commentator or black journalist that you're not informed.
Relationships, that's a skill we have to learn.
It's even more kind of mind-blowing because we're supposed to be the multicultural space.
Trying to drum up money to keep the war machine going so they can keep the donors happy.
Yeah. Do the Chinese own part of that?
Began a long time ago. Ukraine has had a neo-Nazi problem for decades.
Proof of sanction, am I right?
I don't know if Domcopters will do it, but something's got to be able to save the world.
From the private industry here.
Like I say, people come on here and they can say stuff they don't normally say on their own shows, which is fine.
Oh, it's McDonald's. Whoop-de-doo.
Ooh.
And their cholesterol is going to go down. Yeah,
Look, we only exist because we have the biggest military, kid.
In silencing a person like Julian Assange because it affects everybody. And today, last week, believe you me, because they know who you are. They watch. They got people that's going out there. They don't want you guys having the conversations that you're having on this show. Mm-hmm. So it affects the political matrix today.
Yo, everybody. Glad to see y'all. Also, I noticed Mr. Streets has hopped in the building since then. Let me show some love to our peeps over there on the Rockfin side. I see Gregory is already in the building. Anybody else coming in? Glad to see you. Yeah, Gregory, I saw him earlier today, was in T-Lab stream. Ryan was doing a real good job going into this Niger situation. We're going to go to it also. Maybe not as eloquently, but we're gonna do it. Sorry, Chris got that little bit of delay, but hop on in there, sir. How are we doing tonight?
Oh no, I'm straight. I was just saying, what's up to everybody? Usual crew coming through. We appreciate it.
Oh shoot, I see Hamza's in the building. Trouble's here now. Hamza, I want to hear it now. Nate Diaz versus was it Jake Paul? Is it going to be another surprising Jake Paul win tonight? I'm curious. I definitely would not pay
Not yet, Hamza.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him yet either. I will reach out too. But tonight, our topics, we definitely got to get into Biden and the black vote. That's such an interesting topic. I mean, I guess while we're at it, so we don't leave out the main black candidate who is running also, Cornel West. We'll throw Cornel West in there and talk about it a little bit. He doesn't have anything that's big that's hopped into this into the news feed, but I'll still talk about it just a little bit. Definitely wanted to talk a little bit about the RFK and Matt Hoffa situation. Hamza said we have to talk about Tariq. I guess I could talk a little bit about the Tariq thing. I don't know, Chris, if you've seen it. Oh, and of course Jamie Foxx and we're going to get in Niger, very important topics. But Chris, did you see Tommy Sotomayor? He did a I don't know why I'm pronouncing it with like a Spanish accent, guys. I think he's just American, but and I think he just decided to just start calling himself that for some reason. But did you see his expose of Tariq Nasheed?
I did, when he was going into his past about all the music and all his contacts and all that shit. Yeah. You sent me the link. I was watching it. The shit was funny, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not even gonna lie. That the Sotomayor dude, Tommy, he was kind of annoying though too. He was so extra. I just wanted him to like really get to the information, tell us what was going on, but he was very concerned with putting on for his audience. I understand you got to make it you have to make it entertaining. I fully understand that. We could be boring, but it is what it is. But I feel like,
well, he got a beef with it.
I know. I just feel like he would have made his point had he turned down the volume on some of the theatrics and got straight to the information and then got to the shit. You know what I'm saying? But either way, I mean, look, Tariq Nasheed is the Tariq we talking about, right? If you just watch him, I guess he would be a grifter, right? I guess he would be a good example for use of that word. You know what I'm saying? He on Monday he's a Pan-Africanist, Tuesday he's FBA, Wednesday he's a Democrat, Thursday he's an R&B singer, Friday he's a club owner, Saturday he's a pimp, and then Sunday he's a preacher. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard to keep up with Brother Nasheed, but you know what? I'm not a hater, so do your thing, bro. Whoever giving you coin, that's on them, but I've never looked at him as somebody to follow. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at him like, damn, homie doing this thing, his movement. I never looked at him like that. I just looked at him as somewhat like an entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Playing a role.
Well, I mean,
and quite honestly, he looks like he's trying to do two things at the same time. It looks like he's trying to get money and he's trying to use his platform to get pussy. Pardon my language, but he just comes across as the dude who's looking for pussy around every single corner. You know what I mean? And
I would agree. I would definitely agree. I mean, I guess the only reason why I guess it was brought up, and Thomas had a comment in there, and thank you, Myra's mom, and Jura also. So Thomas put in here, Tariq be beefing, dodging, smearing, and calling out everyone. LOL. So what's new? I mean, occasionally I'll give him credit. Yeah. He's an intelligent guy. He makes some good arguments on some things.
On some topics, yes.
But of course, I have my issues with him just as much as I do with Tommy, who kind of exposed him. I think what was interesting about it though is he went in details which I never even really knew about Tariq. I knew that he had some kind of little rap career, but I never heard any of his music. I knew where I knew of him from is I remember seeing him on a dating show back in the day, like a long time ago, back when he was going by his regular name. And so I never took the guy serious on anything. And that kind of reminds me, I mean, I don't know, Chris H, he might pop in here later on, but what Chris H was asking us about, and I was going into my thoughts on a lot of these so-called Black leaders. The issue with many of them, whether it's him, whether it's, what is it, Jay Morrison, whether it's a Boyce Watkins, I feel like all of them are about the bag. Even Dr. Umar, I mean, I'm sorry, people ain't gonna like it, but there is no leader of the community. For one, there's so many, the community's fragmented in so many different areas. Like I said before, you have the people who are the Pan-Africans, who they have their group and they have their contingency. You have the people who are part of, you know, the FBA, or the, you know, then you have the people who say that they're the Aboriginals, then you got the Moorish Americans, and then you got, you know, you got the people who are into democratic politics, then you got your Black Republicans, then you just, it's just too many. The Black community, for one, is only about 13% of the American population. Easily something like 35% of that population is incarcerated. Then you have the rest of that remaining group, which is splintered into a million directions, which have no kind of political ideology which aligns together. So I don't see how you build into any of these type of movements which the people are talking about when everybody is going a different direction. I mean, for instance, I'll say the Chinese community in particular. If you have like a Chinatown, all of them will have at least a basis to where they all agree on what the community should be trying to reach for and do. And then you might have all these different avenues and subcultures within that community. The Black community, and I feel like it goes honestly back to slavery, results of slavery, that it's a every man for himself kind of thing. It is not really a community anymore. And honestly, I hate to say it this way, but after desegregation, it split us even more, because you had a fracture as far as class division. So the idea of the wealthier Black Americans taking care of the poor Black Americans and helping, giving them jobs and things like that, got completely just, you know, stripped apart. I hate to go into all that, you know, got on my little tangent early, but yeah, I just don't see any of these so-called leaders trying to do anything, or that would, even if they have good intentions, or even if they feel like they're being genuine, which I believe Dr. Umar, there's a degree of it that I feel like he is 1000% serious. I just don't see what he's trying to do as something that can be fulfilled. Was it Myra? I wanted to answer hers real quick. Said Soto used to sit up in here and insult women. I used to watch him sometimes back in the day, but I had to get away from that. Yeah, that's my issue with him. That dude has a literal hatred for Black women. I mean, and so I can't rock with anybody who has that much disdain for people in his own community. I can get disagreeing. I can get being disgusted with some things. Just like I can't stand the city girl movement and all this crap. But I don't have disdain for him. I'm just more sad for him than anything. I don't know your thoughts, Chris.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I didn't know who that dude Tommy was prior to that video. I had never heard of him. So if he was going in on Black women, you know, kind of looking and listening to him, I'm kind of not surprised. He seemed like a dude who kind of like white women over anything else, and I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying he just appeared, the energy he gave off, that was the energy he gave to me when I was listening to it, you know. So if he does have a thing against Black women, it's not surprising. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Chris, remember this one? I'm not a trick.
Yeah,
I'm not a trick. I'm not a
not a
trick, baby. Honestly, Mr. K Flex, if anything, he's probably one of the funniest rappers I have ever heard of. The word, well, but the difference is people like the Hodgkin twins. I believe that they're at least you grifting on the conservatives. At least take money from the conservatives, and you're not screwing over your own community. But it is kind of the same kind of thing. You are shitting on your own community to get money from white people, whereas these other ones, they gaslight their own community to grift off of their own community, which I don't know. I'm trying to figure out which one's worse. Both of them are pretty bad. But the Hodge twins are no different than, I mean, the Candace Owens, or as Amazing Lucas calls her, Candace Owens. I mean, and many other ones like that. And PragerU has been like growing. I don't know if they growing them on trees or if they got like a factory of the black sellout class. But man,
PragerU is still a thing. PragerU is still a thing.
They got like 4 or 5 new black sellouts.
Oh, but I haven't. They don't ever come into my feed anymore. It used to, but I don't see it anymore. Oh wow! So they added to their roster beyond.
Oh yeah.
Candace.
Yo, they got a starting 5 of blacks now.
Got you. So all they did was find black people who are willing to go on the internet and say, you know, black people are stupid. You know, they're slaves
and they're criminals.
On the Democratic plantation. You know, they can't leave the government alone. They depend on welfare.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. You got it.
Yep.
Got it.
And on TikTok, I think TikTok is like the minor leagues for them. It's kind of like baseball, the farm teams where they let them grow up. Like it's one named Jeff on there. Give it time. He gonna be on there too. Remember little CJ, the little young dude now who looked young and old at the same time? Yeah, he's another one now. But yeah, it's
he's in that little boy.
They understand how lucrative it is.
He's what, second, third year in college by now? He's a second, third year of college by now? Yeah.
Yep. I mean, so it's just like they found the grift. And so they know, man, it's oh yeah, definitely Hamza. They promoting the hell out of them. I see some of the dumbest IQ people.
But the thing about it is, you get a lot of attention that way, whether it's positive, whether it's supportive attention, or it's negative attention. If you come out as a black Republican, if that is your shtick, that is your act, you're going to generate a lot of views. And in some cases, you could generate a few dollars for yourself too, because conservatives, one thing about the conservative movement, the online people, they're not selfish with their coins in terms of giving you a few dollars to spew your shit. You know what I'm saying? They're more willing to give you money for their viewpoints to be spread than, you know, black liberals can get from, you know, white liberals. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I know that you're not on TikTok like that, Chris, but let me show you how easy it is to make money on TikTok. This girl right here, when I saw this just blew my mind how dumb this is. It's a little off topic. But this just blew my mind how dumb this is.
Are we gonna go to the NPC? The girl? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Ice cream.
I don't know.
Good.
Audience, do y'all know about the NPC thing yet? Do y'all know about that? If y'all don't know, let me know and I'll play one.
I gave a tutorial at work about it. They had no idea until I had to put them on. They was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, some of them are making $100,000 a year to do NPC.
I mean, the one girl, she made like $8,000 in like just a little bit of time, and the shit is just crazy. I mean, they look crazy. The girl be sitting there like sticking her tongue out, doing all kind of crazy shit. Yeah.
Tammy,
NPC
it looks like Chris, Tammy, and Streets don't know about NPC. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so NPC.
Hold on. No.
stands
I'm
for-
gonna show him. Well, you're going ahead and explain it while I pull it up.
Yeah, so NPC is non-playable character. So in video games, like you'll have your main you'll have the character you're controlling. All of the other people on the screen are what's known as NPCs, non-playable characters. So here we are, people are mimicking them, and they're making money doing this dumb shit. I don't want to reenact it. You'll see it. I mean,
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, I mean, I was like, man, I can make money easy doing that.
work, it's not
I couldn't
on
do.
camera.
I couldn't do that to myself.
For you. Take your cash, take your kilo. Yes. Take your audience. Oh, take it, Samantha. This is so cool. Take your cat in. Take your meals. Take your I'm ready. Gang. Oh, take it, baby. This is for you. Take your cash, take your kilo. Yes. Take your audience. Oh, take it, Samantha. This is
That's a minute one.
yes.
Let me find the one that's a little bit longer than that because it's so weird. These are all shorts.
Gang. Yo, that shit is. She's the most popular one. But
Yeah, she's the most popular one. I seen one where this mom is trying to stop
Pinky
her
Doll is the
son.
most popular one. The funny-
No, you see the
Yo,
one where the
with the
mom
black
is.
lady, you gotta find that one. That shit is funny.
Yeah, the mom walks in. She's trying to stop her son.
Yeah.
She's like, something's wrong with him. Y'all leave him alone. Oh, there it is.
And she called the father, but look what he say to her. Look what he say to her.
Thank you for the glizzies.
Listen, your daddy is talking.
What's good, Fox?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Glizzies.
Thank you for the glizzies.
No. Y'all, please just stop because
Thank you for the weights.
we trying to get him some help. Please just don't keep
Thank you for the glizzies.
Don't entertain this madness. We trying to truly help our son.
Thank you for the cat ball.
No, listen to us. He's talking to you, Tej.
Quadruple glizzy.
What's wrong with him?
Tell your dad.
Thank you for the galaxy. Oh my gosh. Ooh, ride it like a cowboy. Ride it like a cowboy.
I'm gonna start calling names for real.
Thank you for the glizzies.
Aisha T.
Thank you for the
Y'all,
glizzies.
please just stop. Don't do this. We
Thank you for
trying
the
to have a
glizzies.
family intervention.
Please.
Please.
Tasty. Thank you for the roses.
No, please.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for the heart.
Stop it. Listen. All these people, please stop.
Thank you for the ice cream.
Don't entertain this. He don't need this. He don't need it. He got a
Thank you for the
job.
chili.
He got a job. I work. I got a job. His daddy works. He don't have
Mama,
to do
yeah.
this type of stuff. Tej,
Thank you for the lightning.
what are you doing to do this? What is
Thank you for the roses.
Son?
Ooh, TikTok.
Are you still there? You still there? I'm trying to see if your dad's still on the line.
Thank
You
you for the
still there,
roses.
Mike? Hello?
Ooh.
Listen.
Step back.
No.
Green.
Thank
Thank you for the glizzies.
He talking to you.
Thank you for the roses.
He talking to
Man,
you.
I'm chilling, Pops.
No. That's not what he asking. You are not
Thank you for the football.
sweaty and everything.
Tasty. Thank you for the roses.
Okay.
And CJ from Grove Street.
You're gonna have to come down here. You're gonna have to come over because
Thank you for the love.
Okay.
Come on, you better break yourself, folks.
You're not talking to me. You will not talk to me
Thank
like
you
Look
for
at
the
what he say to
You will
her.
not talk to me like that. Do you hear me?
Back up.
Oh no.
Thank you for the roses.
You will not.
Step back. Thank you for the basketball.
So yeah, that's enough. But that's what it is. That's what it is. So basically, they send in them gifts, and they act out the gifts like a non-playable character. So it's people who are acting like characters. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Gamer. Like Gamer, people, part of their job, they would like be able to literally control them. Like, and it was like, do you remember, Chris? Remember, it was like a big, like, huge fat dude who's sitting in a chair, and he was controlling this woman or whatever, and picking which outfit she wears, and she's just like, for her 8-hour shift, she's a robot. But that's
I remember as hell. You know, it's funny. You know, he snapped at his mother like, "Back up." You know what I'm saying? And she just
she about to beat his ass.
I thought she was gonna snatch him, but you know, I guess she figured since she was on camera that you know she shouldn't have done that.
Well, and it was live.
You know, the crazy thing is that you know people are getting money for this because how it works is you have to purchase the gift that you give to the person, you know, online. So those gift packs maybe cost you $5 or whatever, or whatever denomination you buy, and then you give them out to the people online. Like you're actually going to spend money to give to somebody just for them to act like that.
Like it literally each one of those is like $1 for this for like a heart, like $2 for like a rose, like $5, like for like when you get in the football and the basketball and stuff like that. Some of that stuff's like $5, $10 a piece.
Yo, and they be calling the crazy thing is they call the hot dogs glizzies, and then they reenact eating a glizzy, but they do it real nasty. Like I'm not even gonna reenact it because
I'm gonna tell you what this is, because the only people I know who will really be into some shit like this is those computer gamer type people who live in Japan. You know what I'm talking about. This is right up their alley. And so more than likely you got some kid, well maybe even adult over in Japan, pants getting a little bit tight watching this.
Probably.
Maybe doing more than that.
Oh, they tight and they wet now. Pause.
Watching the no bra challenge on TikTok. Wow, I didn't even know they had that. But this is what is I'm telling you, TikTok is one of the, I don't know, TikTok, like, I don't know if y'all remember that Dave Chappelle when he was like, if the internet was a person, he's walking through it, and some parts are kind of cool, and then some parts are really, really gross. Like, TikTok is a mixture of that. It's like, you have some people who are dropping some real info, then you got some people who are doing some cool social justice stuff, and you got some people who are pushing for real issues, and then people who are dropping information that you would never know. And then you got some weird, nasty, pseudoscience-y shit going on in there. Like, people really believe in, like, that you can walk through the Grand Canyon and there's portals in there that'll take you to, like, New Zealand. Like, this is a big part of what goes on TikTok. Like, the weirdest stuff ever. So people think like the level of conspiracy theories on TikTok is like through the roof.
Well, they're also able to go into much further depth on TikTok in a way that you can't on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah, I'll admit that. I mean, some stuff is good, but some of this is really bad. Yeah, exactly, Miguel. Miguel says right here, Pinky Doll says she earns about $3,000 per stream.
Warren,
now she streams for like, hey, what's up, Warren? And then she streams for like, I want to say sometimes like 10 hours. So imagine and she streams something like 5 times a week. So just imagine that. Let's say if it's five days a week, $3,000 per stream. Right there, she's at what was that? 15,000. 15,000 a week. I don't know. You the math man, Chris. 15,000 times 52.
It's more money than I'm making.
Shit, a whole lot more money than I'm making. I ain't gonna put myself out there, but just a whole lot more than I'm making. And it started a whole movement of people who are doing this. Myra's mom says my daughter does get a lot of her news and political news off of TikTok.
That plays into those guys like Speed and Kai Cenat. Did you see what Kai Cenat did in New York City yesterday?
I just heard about that.
Yeah, I don't know if the audience knows who Kai Cenat is. KAICENAT. Kai. He's a popular streamer on Twitch. You know, he's into video games and shit. He went to New York yesterday and said that he was going to give away a bunch of PS5s and other video games and shit like that. And that's what that chaos you saw in New York on the media yesterday, if you were on Twitter or any of it, yeah, that was from a Twitch streamer. So this generation, they're old enough now to be outside on their own. Now we can see what they're doing. You know, they get hyped off of watching somebody play video games all day, and they make these people millionaires.
Yeah.
So this generation is a little weird in that regard.
Well, this generation, what it is people have always been, they will do whatever they need to do to make money. And now that you're showing them that this is a way that they can make money to do this type of shit, this is what they're going to do. I mean, sad to say it, but that's the facts.
I mean, it's kind of wild when you think about it, right? Because although we're making fun of it, right, and we're poking jokes at it and shit like that, right? You know, you could go to sit in the office and make way less than that for, 40 hours a week, as opposed to sitting in your house acting stupid on the internet for a little bit and making 2, 3, 4, 5 times what you do in the office. So on some level, who's really the stupid one?
Me and one of my friends from work, we talk about this all the time. Like, who's really the stupid one? Are we the stupid ones or are they the stupid ones because they're out there doing stupid stuff? But we're the ones getting here in 40 hours a week, making not even close to what most of these people are making. So I don't know.
I mean, 7,000. If what Miguel says, right, and one of them, and she makes 7,000 in a day. Like, yo, that goes a long way. If you need a car, you need repairs and shit like that. The 7,000 could, stretch. You know what I'm saying? That might buy you some new furniture. It may buy you, a new appliance that you need, or appliances and shit like that. So I'm just saying, it's, we laugh at it, but if we can make money up.
Chris H says, Gen Z ain't that crazy. We would get into brawls on Black Friday and Boxing Days. No, they still do that. I mean, also, they be twerking on top of moving cars. I don't think we was doing all that. I don't know. I think this generation a little crazier.
No, some of those some of them Black Friday fights in a Walmart of all places is crazy. Like, y'all fighting for toilet paper and like the big, come on, man. All right, Hamza, be good, man.
All right. Yeah, we went from worshiping gods to worshiping tech gods. Well, that's still a version of worshiping gods. I don't know. One of these days, I might get into a breakdown of American gods. I don't know if you ever watched that show or read the book. Definitely recommend it. But I wanted to show y'all what's going on. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me check the Rockfin side before I jump to another topic, because I know Rockfin's a little bit delayed. Hassan Piker and that other streaming friend, so debaters starting Twitch streamers. Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah. Gregory, I am sorry for forcing you to have to watch that. But I think I should know what's going on out there, how crazy it's getting. Bob, I think that they're talking about bringing back American Gods for another season, but I don't know. For those who
That's what I'm saying, Thomas. It's crazy. No, I was reading Thomas's comment. He's like, yo, I'm out here busting my ass. You know what I'm saying? Sweating my balls off. And, you know, I'm only making X amount of dollars per year. Thomas, you know what you should start doing? You know, start filming your work. Start recording it. You know, do like the girls in the gym, pause, put on short shorts. Maybe that audience would, you know, tip you well. You know what I mean? So I couldn't watch you at that point, but I'll support you from here.
I understand your percent. I stopped after what they did to Orlando, which, I admit the show, I feel like the show did drop quite a bit after that. But, I mean, it was still worth it for, like, people who follow the mythology of the different gods and stuff like that, of different cultures and stuff. I'd still recommend it. I don't, excuse me. I don't know if you guys have been watching what's been going on weather-wise. And I'll put this disclaimer out here. For those who are the whole, oh my God, climate change, global warming, it's the end of everything, and blah, 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 and we need to do this. Or if you're that's all BS, that it's a hoax and they're making up shit and they got machines which are making this stuff happen. I'll let you guys fight that out. All I'm focusing on is that stuff is actually happening. And something that happened recently in China, I don't know if you guys saw it, but some of the worst flooding they've had in over 140 years, according to what they say. So check this out real quick.
Now, the record heat is being seen across the United States and globe, but in Asia, powerful typhoons are causing big problems. Dozens are dead and missing after multiple typhoons in China and Japan, and more storms are on the way. The CBS 8's Ariana Cohen talked to a local woman who just got back from China, where she still has family.
Nearly 1 million people are now evacuated amid the flooding, and the storm has left widespread damage. I spoke with a San Diego woman who just got back from visiting Beijing to see a relative. Watch as this man is rescued from the roof of his car, seconds before his car washes downstream. At least 20 people are dead after Typhoon Doksuri pummeled Beijing with almost 30 inches of rain. The city's heaviest rainfall in 140 years, according to the Associated Press. Kathy Zhao works at the Chinese school near Kearney Mesa. She just got back last week, right before this severe weather began. She was visiting her family for a month in Guangzhou, China.
I think it's terrible, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that before in my city. Oh, I feel terrible and scared.
Emergency crews are continuously trying to save people in eastern China, including this baby from rising floodwaters. Typhoon Doksuri made landfall in southern China, with winds reaching about 150 miles per hour, killing dozens more and displacing tens of thousands in the Philippines, according to the Philippine Coast Guard and disaster officials. Typhoon Kanan slammed Okinawa and other islands in southwestern Japan today. More than 30 people are injured, according to Okinawa government officials. More storms are expected to hit China's shores later this week. Meanwhile, Kathy is grateful her family is safe.
My family is okay. Yeah, my family is very safe.
Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
And for me, I don't know if this kind of reminded me. Yeah, I mean, and it's not just China. It's China. It's Japan. It's the Philippines. It's like covering a massive area. Miguel is right with me. This is exactly what I was thinking. I don't know how many people remember
As
this.
soon as they said Okinawa, that was the first thing I thought.
Yep, storms in Okinawa. That's what I thought Karate Kid 2. Which I don't know. I might have to go watch that a little later. That movie. Some of these old movies still go hard, in my opinion.
But I saw like a Jean-Claude Van Damme thing somewhere, and it was all his movies, and I was like, damn, Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Cyborg, Double Impact. I've watched all them shits.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Universal Soldier.
Oh yeah. It's funny. Gregory Walker said, I'm guilty of ghost riding the whip back in the days. I don't know why I can see that. I can imagine him doing that. I wanted to show y'all another one also. Thomas was talking about these different storms all over the place, and there was another one that I wanted to show real quick. This is not from a typhoon. This is from storms. I mean, just raining.
No. Летит стран.
I don't know. I just wanted to show some of this because
trying his best to salvage what the
stop that. It's just a lot of stuff that's been going on weather-wise, and I know we can get caught up with some of the stuff going on here stateside, and not go into any of that. But I just want to, do my little news break and throw some of those stories out there, which we don't often hear or talk about. I guess we can get into.
No, I still don't see that. I still don't want to see that little. What's that little white girl name? The one she looked like she's on the spectrum, and she's always talking about climate change, and she do the fake arrest.
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, Greta. Yeah. I just don't want to see no more Greta videos. Why she don't be in the place where it's actually popping like that? Why she don't get swept away in the storm or some shit? Prove her
Or
point
she
that
could
way.
end up going to Arizona and passing the fuck out.
I don't know, something, man. Because them videos and her whole thing is it annoys me that people still, pay that little girl attention. You know what I'm saying? Everything about it is fucking contrived.
I don't know. To me, it's almost like she's a plant. I don't know. These days, I'm starting to get curious. I'm getting.
Almost.
I'm not trusting anything.
No, ain't
It says,
no
why doesn't she grow or age? That's what Baba said. I don't know, man. There's something weird about her.
That's why. There's
If she's not,
you don't look at that and think the R word a little bit. She is a play.
oh man, yeah. And then I could never really grasp why people hate Greta. It's I don't know.
It's not her. It's not her personally. It's what she's being used for, and what she represents. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at like the people who she's related to and the funding behind it, you see it's all just bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then they allowed her to start talking and to start saying things, and it's just like, okay, look, you've just came out the womb essentially, and you're trying to tell us how this goes. Please go have several seats and learn something.
Yeah, it's just always weird to me when I see like somebody come out of nowhere who doesn't necessarily speak very eloquently, who doesn't necessarily have all these facts or stats. I mean, she's not saying anything more than probably some other kids her own age who are probably already saying. So why did this girl get promoted up to do this? Why is she the one who got all of this attention? To me, it was just always sketch about her.
Yeah, just look at if you Google her, just look at her mom and what position her mother holds. I don't remember the exact position, so I don't want to even guess and get it wrong. But her mom is connected, and I believe the father is as well, and the family is as well. So again, once you look into it, you're like, damn, all these people are connected here and there. They just put their kid out there or their family member out there as a face.
Yeah, so I don't trust
Correct.
that. Oh,
What does now? Isn't it ironic that we're talking about this chick? Baba references Zelensky. So it's fake shit on top of fake shit. How the fuck are you in the middle of a war and you have this great Russian bear, messing up your country? How the hell you stop to go meet with Greta Thunberg about some climate change at that? I mean, you getting bombs, supposedly, Russia's being super aggressive and blah, 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 blah. All the shit they say on the news. So where do you as a leader have time to meet with this chick about whether the sun is hotter today than it was last year? I mean, talk about red flag, dude. Talk about PSYOP, all of it. Yeah. I reject
I
that
don't
shit.
know. Yeah, I don't know. To anybody who remembers Poltergeist, she reminds me if you took the old lady and the little girl and combined them into one person.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh man, I'm probably wrong for that. I don't know. I'm probably wrong for that.
No, you're not. That's exactly what it reminds me of. And they got that little light voice. Yeah.
What was her name? Carrie Ann.
Carrie Ann. I can't remember.
And she had the little blonde hair too. Oh man, I told you it's like they didn't mix them together.
Yeah, they did. That was good. I didn't even think about that. That was very good.
Oh man, don't cancel me for picking a little ugly ass. I mean, little Greta.
Come on, man. Leave. What was the gremlin name? What was the good gremlin? What was his name?
Gizmo.
Gizmo. Yeah, leave little Gizmo alone, dog.
I don't know, man. She looks like she needs to be in somebody's horror movie. That's all I know. That's all I know.
We're gonna leave. Gizmo alone.
So I figure we're going ahead, and since we're already on the foreign policy stuff, let's stick with foreign policy and let's get into Niger. For those who are not familiar,
Niger, however you want to pronounce it.
I could pronounce it how it technically really would be pronounced if y'all want.
No, I know.
But
I mean, we could say, you and I could say.
Because here's the thing. When it was named, the word actually comes from Greek. I don't know if most people know that. Niger comes from Greek. Greek, they don't have any soft G's. So it's the same word as the Nigg. It's not different. They just start getting cute with it and changing it around because the French took over. And so since the French have colonized that area mostly, they started pronouncing it with that to kind of hide the fact of what they were really calling the place. I mean, even if you look up to the country that's the closest name to it, Nigeria. Nigeria literally means land of black. So what do you think that they were calling that place?
Mm-hmm. Yo, Marcus, side note, I have a dog now. So I have a dog and a cat and children.
Oh wow.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong in life, B, but this is just too much.
I don't know what you're doing either. I figure I'll read from this one source, even though we know it's extremely biased, because most of the major publications are going to give the biased lens. I was talking about yeah, Carol. Let's see. We all know that this is going to be a biased source, but I'm going to just read what the mainstream media is saying in the first place. It says Niger coup is France to blame for instability in West Africa. Well, I would say France and most of the NATO powers all have to do with it, but France has a big part to do with it. Nigeria has become the latest country in West Africa where the army has seized control following Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Chad, all former French colonies since 1990. A striking 78% of the 27 coups in sub-Saharan Africa have occurred in Francophone states, leading some commentators to ask whether France or the legacy of French colonialism is to blame. Many of the coup plotters would
Stop,
certainly.
Marcus, real quick.
Okay.
I was just going to say, the last question, right? Or, asking whether or not French colonialism is to blame. That's not even a question. You
No.
understand what I'm saying? We're going to keep it real. That's not a question. And whoever wrote that is being disingenuous. And I get you got to write your articles a certain way. And that is the first part. The article could be very good. But I'm just saying we should stop talking like this. We should stop making it seem as if like, oh, well, maybe it's just the people. No. No. It's just like for my West Indian people who all take a hard line on the Haitians, right? Dog. No other Caribbean country, whether we're talking even Cuba, Jamaica, the Virgin Islands, Bahamas, Barbados, Puerto Rico, DR, and Turks and Caicos, all the islands, everything in the West Indies, none of them are fucked with the way that Haiti is. None of them by international forces, specifically France and the United States. So when everyone gets to talking shit about them, I just need them to keep in mind that there's an external force that's messing with them in a way that's not happening in those other places. And ironically, in those other places, they're still coming to the United States too. They still have all kind of like ties to the U.S., whether it's their children or other family members. You know what I'm saying? What they should take a step back and look at the Haitian situation and realize that, it's not just the Haitian people making bad decisions politically and socioeconomically. It is third parties, meaning the United States and France, not necessarily in that order, but they have their hands all in the pot there, and they're creating chaos there like they always do, and they always have done. So please just take it easy whenever you're talking about the Haitians or the country. You don't have it like that in yours. And guess what? For all of you, especially, those in like Jamaica, y'all don't own none of the fly beachfront properties. Those are all owned by multinational companies. So before y'all get to talking shit, just remember you don't own shit in your place either. All right, Marcus, you could go back to the dual screen.
I just want to put you on there. You was cooking with some gasoline there.
Yeah. I didn't want to go too bad.
No. You can always. I go on my little tangents all the time. You can definitely go on yours.
Oh, it's all good, son. But yeah, guys. So we at the start. Many of the coup plotters. Go ahead.
And so it says many of the coup plotters would certainly like us to think so. Well, I think maybe this it says Leonard Nguele Nzigi. I don't know. I apologize for butchering this guy's name. I think the Nick Cheeseman person is probably the one who's kind of softening the blow, but it looks like you have somebody of African descent here on one of the writers. But let's hop back into it. Many of the coup plotters would certainly like us to think so. Colonel Abdoulaye Maïga, who was named prime minister by the military junta in Mali in September 2022, launched a scathing attack on France, criticizing neo-colonialist, condescending, paternalist, and vengeful policies. Mr. Maïga Maïga, alleged that France has disowned universal moral values and stabbed Mali in the back. Anti-French vitriol has also flourished in Burkina Faso, where the military government ended a long-standing accord that allowed French troops to operate in the country in February, giving France 1 month to remove its forces. In Niger, which neighbors both countries, allegations that President Mohamed Bazoum was a puppet for French interests were used to legitimize his removal from power, and 5 military deals with France have since been revoked by the junta led by General Abdourahmane Tachini, I guess. I don't know. Partly as a result, the coup was followed by popular protests and attacks on the French embassy. The historical record provides some support for these grievances. French colonial rule established political systems designed to extract value resources while using the repressive strategy to retain control. So did British colonial rule, but that was distinctive about France's role in Africa was the extent to which it continued to engage. Its critics would say meddle in the politics and economics of its former territories after independence. So, and I want to hop in there because this is something which, though, like for instance, you can look at all the nations which were colonized, whether we're talking about the Americas or whether we're talking about in Africa. And many of the countries which colonized them, whether it be Spain, Portugal, France, Great Britain, to a degree, many of those have kind of pulled back. I'm not saying completely, because Great Britain still has their hooks into a lot of the Caribbean. Definitely Ireland has kind of moved all the way. I mean, a lot of people don't even know, like, Ireland had a big hand in a lot of stuff that went on in Jamaica, and they pulled back from their colonialism. But France, out of any of the nations which colonized any of these other areas, they're the ones who have kind of still kept their hooks into those countries the most. Now, in the U.S., what they've done is they kind of assist these governments in pillaging these countries, and that's the reason why there's so many bases all over Africa. I mean, literally, there's on record roughly about 12,000 troops that are in Africa. 12,000 American troops, not to mention how many NATO troops. I think there's 10 bases. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to go off memory. I think there's about 10 bases which are in Africa, and there's always constant coups and stuff. And lately, over the past, I'm going to say 20 years, that whole area right across West Africa going into Central Africa, there has been constant, instability. And if you look at something which all of those places have in common is those are the places which are the most mineral rich areas of Africa. And so when people try to say, oh, well, there's nothing in Africa, Africa don't have nothing anybody want. Plenty of professors, and I think I did the video on my other channel probably about a year ago, maybe longer, I think longer, where there was a professor from, I believe, Great Britain, who was going into they need for Africa to stay impoverished in order for the West to keep everything cheap. Because the moment that Africa starts getting its money's worth for what actually comes out of their country, then the United States will basically lose. Well, not only the U.S., but Western powers, U.S. and NATO, would lose their leverage that they have over Africa. And if Africa was able to become an economic powerhouse, like what was happening with Gaddafi was trying to organize the African Union, that was able to crystallize, then you would completely have the West being pushed out of Africa. And then what you would have more than likely is you would have a situation where Africa and many of instead of saying Africa as a continent, the different nations, especially from West Africa and South Africa, would be doing a lot more business with Eastern Europe and pushing Western Europe and the United States out. And that would lead to a shift in hegemony because you would have these Eastern European countries which would be doing a lot better economically that would then have more leverage over Western European society. And so that's why this has always been some kind of rough tug of war between the NATO states and what you have coming out of Eastern Europe. And now, since you have the ascendance of the Asian nations more and more, whether that's China, whether that's India, and even Japan to a degree, because Japan was kind of leading that pack until they got hamstrung by the United States. But as they started to, reascend, as they start doing these partnerships with Africa, that's going to lead to more pushing the United States out. And the same thing you're starting to see within South America. So the more and more the United States and Europe gets pushed out, that global hegemony starts to completely crack and fall apart. And now we're looking at a multi-hegemonic, world, which the U.S. is not down for that. Sorry, I went on a little long tangent, but what's your thoughts on that, Chris?
First of all, do me a favor. I'm looking for something. Oh, wait, no, stay right there because I was looking in the article.
You need to scroll down.
No, stay right there. At the end of look how many times. Say the country's name again, Marcus.
Which one?
The country that we're talking about.
Niger.
Yet the word France, something to do with French, is all throughout this article. You don't need to guess. You didn't need this article. You didn't need anything. You just need to know whether or not these people are there. Again, Europe exists only because of their ability to subjugate places like this, because the population of the people in these places have not been able to root out the corruption, the little to nothing that it takes to corrupt these people. That's really what the main problem is. We can talk about the colonial powers all we want, because they have ill intentions and they do a lot of fuck shit, and we already know that. You know what I mean? As you talked about in your rant. At the end of the day, the people on the ground, maybe because they're in political leadership, or maybe they were wise enough to start a successful business and it's become profitable and they make a little bit of money, so they end up having to deal with the government and do business, shit like that. They're the ones really selling out their countries. You know what I'm saying? The problem really is, the problem is internally more, and just as much as it is external. It's been too long. These countries aren't brand new. These people they didn't just start being born in the last 40 or 50 years. The French have been there for, at this point, we're talking centuries. We're not talking decades. We're talking centuries that these European powers have been on the continent. In this particular instance, we're just talking Niger, right? But we can talk about, the Dutch. We can talk about the English. We can talk about the French. We can talk about the Spanish. We can talk about the Portuguese. The story is still the same. The people on the ground, they really need to get to the point to where they really look at each other and have less vitriol for each other than they do the outsider. Because it just seems as if they're okay with their status as long as their neighbor don't come up. You know what I'm saying? It's again, if Marcus, if you have something and I don't,
Well, I wouldn't so much say that they have a problem loving their own. I would say that it's more that the people who are propped up by the U.S. completely go against the interests of the people. And
Absolutely.
I think where the people are willing, they put these leaders in place that can be puppets that they can always manipulate. And I think it's more those leaders that keep propping up that corruption within these countries. And it's that somebody has to be able to take that sacrifice and say, even if y'all kill me, I'm not going to sell out. And it has to get to a point where all of these leaders start saying, no, you're just going to have to take us out. You can't just go to the next man and find one who's going to be corrupt anymore.
You know, to Thomas's point, Marcus, when he says the global South is rich in resources, you know, let's keep in mind that the country that we're talking about, France, relies on their mines for a lot of their nuclear power. You know, France is what, 70-80% nuclear energy or something to that effect. I know it's France relies on nuclear energy for more than 50% of their energy, right? In their country. So they need these countries. You know, it's crazy. Look, you run nuclear energy and you get all your shit from a country in Africa. You know, you have those the Norwegian countries, they make all the chocolate that we like. You ain't got a motherfucking plant in your country, much less your continent. You ain't got one plant that produces cocoa. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dog. It's people just gonna have to get used to a new way of living. But at the same time, I say all this, we say all this, they're also in debt to China right now. Even as they come up, they're in debt to China.
Well, Chris H is saying here, Africa is going to need some help. I completely agree. And that's why I got one more video that I wanted to show. And
Correct,
this
Streets.
one,
It is very complex, Streets.
Yeah.
Extremely complex. But you know what? We only tend to look at the African situation as like, you know, through outsiders. But if we go further back, you know, just because everybody there is the same color doesn't mean that they all get along. Because if you start going into a certain, you know, when you start looking into the book and things of that nature, they tell you just basically all skin folk and kinfolk. And, you know, so some of the lack of unity that you think you should see is not because they're stupid. It's because they have never fucked with each other from the beginning of time.
well, yeah, definitely. I mean, what it is the whole world has gotten into looking at Africa different than they look at the rest of the world. When you look at South America, you don't think Argentina and Mexico are the same. You don't, because you know that there's a difference between these histories and cultures. Even if you say genetically, maybe these people have things in common, you know that they're different countries with different histories. You don't look at Europe, where most of those people are genetically very similar, and think Ireland is the same as Italy. But for some reason, everybody looks at Africa is that all of it is exactly the same, that there's no differences, there's no cultural differences, no faith differences, no historical differences in any of these places. They look at Africa, which is the largest continent on earth, which is literally, I mean, Africa is bigger than North and South America and Europe put together. But yet we look at the biggest continent, which genetically is the most diverse place on Earth, as if all of these people are all the same. Oh, look at the little guy. What you got, a rock?
Man, this little chick. No, it's a freaking mini pin. This little girl, dog. She don't leave me alone.
How old is she?
I don't even know. His mother named him Xena. She don't leave me alone, dog. No matter what happens, dog. See, you can see her
you know
mom right
why.
here, look.
You know why, right?
Yeah, she don't leave me alone. I'm like, go to your daddy. Her father's in the room.
Well, because dogs are pack animals, so what they do is they look for whoever is looked at as the leader of the pack. And so whoever is the leader of the pack is who they're going to be around the most.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, this shit is crazy, man. Yeah, she came out of nowhere and got in my lap.
She's like, well, what are you doing over there? Why are you not spending any time over here with me?
Correct.
And then cats are the complete opposite. Cat will be like, oh, you don't like me, huh? Well, I'm coming to hang with you. Let me go hang with who don't like me.
For real.
I see Dingo is in the building also.
The cat, whenever I come home, the cat followed me into my room, and then he jumps on the corner of my bed. And I don't like animals in my bed. I'm the only animal in my bed, right? So I be like chasing the cat, and the cat will just sit there like, "No, son, I'm chilling." So they'll both be in my room, and they be fighting until I kick them both out. And I'm like, neither of these animals belong to me. One belongs to one child, the other belongs to the other child. So I think if I fix my problem, if I get rid of the kids, the animals go too.
In theory.
In theory.
Oh, man. I wanted to throw Gregory's comment in here real quick because it fits with the topic. It says Haiti is getting payback for the revolution. They inspired a lot of following revolutions in Latin America and had to be made an example of. It's exactly what they did. They had to break their back because not only did they inspire revolutions throughout South America, but they inspired revolutions even in America. A lot of the slave revolts that were happening was because of the Haitian revolt. And I would say arguably that revolt led to the dropping of France from being a superpower in the world. That's a whole nother deep dive to get into.
Chris, hold on. Chris H references the Russian forgiveness of African debt, right? I think I said to you earlier, Marcus, what are they getting from that? They didn't do that just because they want to be cool and they want to be down, right? This is not a rap video. It's not Brandy, I want to be down. It's not that. They've got to be benefiting in some other way, other than just goodwill. You know what I'm saying?
No, but what I was saying that it's because of any way that they could loosen the United States grip on power, and that's one of the biggest ways.
Correct, yeah, bro.
If you can bring if you can bring Africa and get them on your page and actually let them build up, then Africa is going to feel. And I don't know if you guys know, just in general, a lot of those people in Africa and just the continent in general, they tend to be very, very kind of loving to anybody who will help them. And if Russia is seen as a nation which was able to help them get out from under the colonialism of the Western powers, the people who have been their nemesis and and evil for most of their histories, then you can actually be able to get a considerable force that can help you push back against the United States and Western powers. That's I look at it for them to knock the U.S. off that heel, and to now not only do you knock them off that heel, but also they're no longer putting sanctions and stuff on you either. You know, it's kind of like one bully is going around picking on 3 or 4 people, and instead of saying, well, I'm going to fight him by myself, all 3 I'll get together and fight back. And that's what I see is kind of more or less happening. You know, now China is doing some weird shit with it, but that's the gist of why they're doing it. I think China is trying to profit off of them at the same time and do this, and try to subjugate for later, and trying to work their hooks in to possibly profit off of them the same way that France and Denmark and some of these other countries have been taking advantage of them. But I do think that Russia, for the most part, is more about the proxy war that they're having, you know, the chess moves against the United States and NATO directly. Whereas China, I think they got some other underhanded motives going on. What it say?
So?
The debt? Yeah, oh, definitely. The debt forgiveness is maybe a way to encourage other African nations.
I don't know if you heard my sarcasm.
But
I don't know if
Tammy,
you heard my sarcasm.
Oh, well, Tammy, you said about joining BRICS. Here's something. I mean, Russia has been. I mean, they've been forgiven a lot of debt even before right now. I mean, if you go back for a good 30 years, 40 years, that they've been forgiving different debts here and there. And so they've been trying to ingratiate themselves more and more with the African continent. It's just been of late that it's been, you know, more and more that they're doing it. And I think the reason why is because they figure now is the time to really forge this partnership, because now Africa is getting stronger and stronger and they're getting strong enough to be able to start actually pushing back against the colonial powers that have always suppressed them. And that's why I think they're feeding more into it, because it's kind of like that dude who's sitting on the side who he's interested in this girl. She got a man, and he know that they've been fighting all the time. And so now's the time to throw a little bit more fuel in there, see if we can get them to break up. And that's kind of what Russia's doing. They're trying to forge that breakup between that toxic relationship so they can get in. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
No, I agree with you. Go ahead, keep cooking.
Yeah, that's what I think overall is happening. And so I wanted to add this in here, this video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. More than likely, possibly, you've seen it on somebody's probably covered this somewhere. But I wonder if I get the one that's translated already.
In a move considered as a tactical way to defend the recent regime change in Niger, Mali's military junta said Monday that they stand to support the coup leaders in Niamey. Mali said they stand together with Burkina Faso to defend Niger, and further warned that any foreign military intervention within Niamey will be considered a declaration of war on both nations within Niger. The transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali, one, have expressed their fraternal solidarity of the people of Mali and Burkina Faso with their brothers in Niger, who have decided of their own accord to take their destiny in hand and to assume their sovereignty. Two, denounce the persistence of the regional organizations to apply sanctions that aggravate the suffering of the population and imperil the spirit of Pan-Africanism. Three, refuse to apply these illegal, illegitimate, and inhumane sanctions against the Nigerian people and authorities. Four, warn that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, 4 warned that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. The announcement was in response to the outcome of a summit by regional blocs ECOWAS that gave a 7-day deadline to Niger co-leaders to free detained President Mohamed Bazoum and restore civilian rule.
So I don't know if you guys heard that, made that out very well, but he's basically telling them anything y'all do, keep coming up in here, is going to be considered an act of war. So back off. And lately, what I've heard that they've reached out to Wagner Group to try to get them to come in and assist. So it could get pretty interesting. What might start happening soon, and with Russia and China being more involved in the region, you could see another aspect of what we see starting to shape up to be a possible global war, or another word for World War III. And so it's just a matter of there's another fold now that's starting to open up. I still say everybody keep your eyes on what's going on with the hard right part in Israel and what's going on with Israel, Pakistan, and possibly Iran. I would say keep watching that. I would say definitely keep watching with the Taiwan situation. I don't think the U.S. really wanted with this whole Taiwan thing, so I think they're going to play this very carefully. But the areas where I think things could be reckless and still push us in that direction is something like this that might happen over here in Central Africa and West Africa, and something that can happen over in East Africa area. So I would tell people, as far as a World War III type situation, don't rule out something that might happen throughout Africa or the so-called Middle East. And Baba says war is coming and it won't be declared. It will come either in increments or one big shock. I think we're seeing all the formations and all the booby traps are being set up. And all it's going to take is for one incident to happen. Like what happens in all of these wars, if you go back and look at it, incrementally thing is happening here, something's happening here. And then you have all these situations and everybody's already starting to side on one side or the other. And right now you have the BRICS nations on one side, you have NATO on another side, and all it's going to take is for one thing, and next thing you know, it sparks some kind of an Article 13 for the U.S. or whatever versions of the BRICS version of an Article 13, and boom, we're in the middle of a global hot war. Your thoughts, Chris?
Marcus, I couldn't at the end of the day, everyone's going to have to take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? I know that these things that take place, they tend to lead to international interventions and people get involved and shit like that. But the people on the ground, you have to start to take control of the place where you live. You understand what I'm saying? I feel bad for them people, but they got to get rid of the French and they got to keep the French out, and they have to build up their particular their community, because look, France is run by what, 70-80% nuclear energy. The people in Niger, for instance, 20% of the place has electricity. So there's a lot of work that got to be done at home. You understand? So before we can even begin to that, Marcus,
I would say, yeah, but you got to remember, this is a country which the U.S. is not allowing for their military to be built up. And they still are at a massive disadvantage as far as an actual one-on-one fight versus France. And
I can't believe
I'm about the U.S.
Look, Marcus, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Shout out to my homeboy D. I don't know if you're watching, but you're going to laugh when you hear this because it's a Tupac quote, right? We say, Fake niggas do what they can. Real niggas do what they want, right? Yo, we can't be concerned about the reaction or the response. You have to just take the risk. Look, either you're going to die on your feet or live on your knees. Which do you want to do?
Well, how do you tell a group of people? Well, how do you tell countries of people that have been living on their knees for centuries to all of a sudden stand up?
You can imagine technology has hit your place just a little bit. You've gotten a glimpse. You've gotten a little taste of what it could mean. You just have to decide to do something different other than what you are doing.
But let's keep it a buck then. If Tyson slapped your mama, how many people, when it comes down to it, really, how many people really go throw hands with Tyson? They'd be like, "Well, mama, what did you do? Well, mama, can I just get you some ice or something? She won't bother you again, Mike." How many people gonna do that? And how many people gonna be like, you know what? I'm probably about to get fucked up, but he hit my mama. I can't take that shit.
You know what? And you know what? Shout out to my homeboy D again, right? Because he would say, Marcus, you should meet D. You would like, yo, I'm telling you, you should come. We're going to have a great time. I'm telling you. Anyway, D would be like, fuck, I'm fighting Mike for. I'm shooting that nigga.
Yeah, but okay, well, if we put it to Blicky, then all right. What happened? What happened when you dealing with? He got a Gatling gun and you got a pistol.
Yeah, lay low, keep firing.
Because that's the situation here. That's the comparison. He coming into town with the Gatling gun, and
but
you
at some
got
point,
the pistol.
At some point, though, we have to break the pattern. And yes, it's going to come with pain. It's going to come with problems and the rest of it. But you have to do something different. You've been, yo, Streets, for real, ear for ear. You see what I'm saying, Streets?
Because you realize
my ear, I'm biting your ear. No, but honestly,
because you realize these boys get fire on them without even leaving France.
For sure, but
they don't have that.
But you can only do so much destruction, right? Because if you destroy me completely, you then destroy access to the resources that you need, and or it delays you from getting those resources. If you don't have it, you cannot keep peace and calm where you live at, which is in France, right? Because we already know the French will riot and they will protest and they will go on and on and on and on and on. They won't necessarily stop after, the weekend. So with that being said, imagine you started to strangle and cut off the resources they need to keep their community, to keep France up and running. It's a different conversation because now, France, you run into the same problems that you always seem to run into. Now you're fighting on two fronts, 2 fronts, 3 fronts, 4 fronts. Your money not that long, and neither is your penis. So you need to pick one, right?
I want to say thanks to Gregory over on the Rock Fin. He says, let's see which one.
Yo, is Denver in the Rock Fin?
Yeah, true. The Gatling gun don't make them bulletproof. I agree, but I look at it like this. Perfect example. You can look here in the Americas. Is it honorable the fight that that the indigenous population kept up against the United States? It's definitely honorable. But at the same time, when you look back at history, they still ended up fighting a losing battle. And so sometimes you have to wait till you got better backing and some support, because it can't all just be on honor and it can't all just be on heart and grit. Sometimes you gotta weigh in, what you're dealing with. And so if they can shore up more of these partnerships with some of these other foreign countries to be able to help. Because you got to remember, it's not a one-on-one fight that they're dealing with. It's not just, if it was just France, they would already been pushed them out. But it's not just France. They're getting help from MI6. They're getting help from Mossad. They're getting help from the CIA. They're getting help. And so it's not like these countries are fighting, one-on-one. I mean, they're getting attacked from multiple different angles. I mean, like, people will say, well, how did Europe take over and colonize these areas? Because they went to one country, and these 4 countries at one time attacked an area, and then said, okay, well, here's your cut. You get this area, we get that area, and then they did that systematically throughout the whole entire continent. And so you got these mobsters over here who've never broken up, while all of these African nations are, hey, it's just about me and my tribe. And so we're trying to fight, but without having that full unity, they can't do much. I mean, just like Double Dragon, one dragon was able to fight, but he needed the other dragon to be able to do something. One. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Leonardo can't take on the Foot Clan and Master Shredder and the Brain and Krang by himself. He needs Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo.
And Casey Jones.
Yeah, like Optimus Prime need Bumblebee. You know what I'm saying? Like Morpheus needed Neo. Like nobody do it by themselves.
So he needs the whole team.
Yeah, you can't be, but you can't be ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, there's a little bit of ignorance that rules in certain spaces where it shouldn't. As it relates to certain African, West Indian, and Black populations here in the U.S.
Well, I think they're getting it. I think they're getting it more together in the African continent than I think we're giving them credit for.
No, they are. I'm starting to see it because if you look at it, it's almost weekly now. If you follow the news out of there, and again, if you are on Twitter and you don't follow people who necessarily often look into this, it'll go by you and you won't pay attention. But once you get out of the American political scene, you'll find out that there's a lot of moving and shaking on the continent of Africa. And it also involves several countries throughout the world. It's not only just the countries on the continent. And there's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of things that you should be paying attention to, especially as it relates to vaccines and propaganda and shit like that. They still doing their testing over there for all of their drugs. They're in India or Pakistan, what I'm saying, or Bangladesh. You know what I'm saying? They're still doing all of their testing in all of these places. Keep an eye on that. When the countries there start to reject, that part of colonialism, then we'll start to make progress as well.
Well, I think they have done that more in Western Africa and Central Africa, but it's East Africa that's still subsumed. I think East Africa is just, it's more problematic in East Africa. I think they're going to fall. East Africa is going to fall more to the side of the West, just because there are more factors involved that are because you got to remember, now you got Egypt and you got countries like Egypt and I can't remember, and Israel and Saudi Arabia on the other side, which will help keep some of those African nations some of those East African nations who are trying to get out from under that stranglehold in check.
I agree. Those are all facts. Snapple facts.
That's what I'm saying. I keep my eye and focus on West Central and South Africa breaking free from that hold first. Yeah, mRNA mosquitoes. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. I mean, I think like I talked about with Tease earlier this week. Well, we were talking offline, and there's so many aspects to these wars when dealing with trying to have a revolution or revolt from these powers that be. But I don't know. I'm gonna have him on here, and I'm gonna have him back on again, and I think we'll just go into that topic. You know, me, Chris,
No,
and Tease, and I think that'll be a good conversation.
Imagine if people reimagine the definition of revolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking about leaving your home and challenging people forces, imagine everybody just sat in a fucking house and didn't leave. And had Netflix and chill days. And just had
I've
Netflix
made that
and
point.
chill days for like, a week. If everybody just decided to say, yo, I'm in Netflix and chill, whether it's by yourself with your cat, pause with your dog, your kids, your wife, and all that, everyone just decide, you know what? I'm going to go watch, 6, 7 seasons of Shameless, or I'm going to go catch up on New York Undercover. I'm going to go see what that's all about, or I'm going to watch In Living Color. Just imagine the masses just sat home. That's at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, that's an extremely revolutionary action. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think, and that's what I'll give credit where credit's due. Tommy Sotomayor, he was basically saying that, like, black people want to get reparations, then as a group, all decide to do that, and then see what happens. And I think that you could take that. I think that would be the new most effective way of an actual revolution, whether that's for reparations, whether that's for workers' rights. But it just has to be a unified thing as a whole to tell these people, we're not taking X, whatever it may be. You guys are going to make us take this elixir that we decided we don't want to take. Then as a whole, everybody needs to get on the same damn page and say, nah, we're not doing that. And that's how you actually stop and fight the system. It has to be as a whole, because the only power that we actually have in general is mass numbers when you think about it in any kind of thing. They got us on the money side, they got us on the tech side, they got us in propaganda, they got us in media, they got us in weaponry. But whatever it needs to be, whether it's on whatever the next pandemic's going to be and whatever solutions they have, it has to be a concerted effort like this. Like I said before, like if it's going to be reparations, it got to be a concerted effort. Whatever it is, this is the way to fight it instead of the physical fight.
To me, I'm analyzing the situation, I'm looking at it, and to get into a physical confrontation with the security force of any state or any country, it's suicide. You're not going to win. They are very much prepared for any and every physical action that you could think of. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't mind sacrificing people. You know what I mean? They don't mind the sacrifice part. You mind the sacrifice part. You don't want your fathers, you don't want your cousins, you don't want your sons, you don't want your nieces, your mothers, your sisters, your daughters. You don't want them to meet untimely fates at the hand of the security forces of any of this shit. While not everybody's going to make it, the best way to me at this point, I'm just assessing the situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the best way to attack this situation. The best way is to do nothing. Literally is to do nothing.
Yeah.
They're still going to come for you, but at the end of the day, that is the best way to build solidarity amongst, the people who live next to you, who you don't even talk to, right? Yo, I was just in the crib. They came for me. I didn't do shit. Neither did you. They're coming for us. That is the best way in the 21st century to build solidarity, because any other way is just it's not effective. We've seen all this. We've seen the marches. We've seen the online vigils. We've seen all this other shit. It worked, but it's not effective. The most effective way is to put a wrench in the system by not moving.
Yeah. Dang, where's that at? I'm trying to find. Is it below this? Oh yeah. So I figured since we are, I kind of broached the topic of reparations a little bit. I figured let's go into this tweet thread me and Chris got into earlier this week. Let me put it on the screen for everybody.
Which
so
one? Which one is this?
You don't remember we talked about the old head? And I was waiting.
Yeah.
I hoped that he would have gotten that conversation, but he knew better and kept his damn mouth shut. And I'm sorry, apologies to any, especially if you're in the black community, older black people. If you were active and all that, and you were doing your thing, ignore what I'm about to say. But it's a big chunk of y'all that y'all can't walk away from this right now. So, and we're going to talk about the RFK stuff. This is leading into the RFK. This dude said, RFK Jr. courts black conspiracy theorists on hip hop podcasts. RFK Jr. RFK Jr., the conspiracy theorist and Democratic presidential candidate, recently took to Math Hoffa's hip hop podcast to spread dubious claims. Now, you don't even know what the hell he said, but yet you just claimed that he was spreading dubious claims. Because if you look at the date of this was before the interview even dropped.
Yo, Marcus, that whole tweet is extremely problematic, as people say.
Yeah.
Every single part of that tweet on a hip hop podcast. You couldn't name the dude. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't name the podcast.
Well, it was to degrade it.
That's what I'm saying. The whole thing, and Marcus Evans, he's supposed to be this, he's supposed to be for black folk, right? So even if you disagree on some level, you didn't have to degrade it the way the crackers do. Pardon my language, but it just is what it is. That's how crackers degrade niggas, with that type of talk. Oh, a hip hop podcast, conspiracy theorists, and then he did mention Math Hoffa's name in there, but you threw enough darts in there to cover his name up. You know what I mean? I don't like that shit.
Well, it's like be a little more respectful. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's like when you have somebody who's an actor, a rapper, an activist, all this stuff, and you be like, entertainer. It's like, this dude has been out here like doing a whole lot more than entertaining, or female, whatever person. They've been doing all these other things, and you relegate them to only this one thing. Thank you, Iris. And this is a little critique I'm gonna have for the older black community. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put myself on the spotlight this time because I did it to you, Chris. So it's only fair I do it back. So I'm gonna rant for a little bit. Now I'm gonna give it to you, let you cook. My problem with a lot of the older black community is many of y'all, when y'all were in y'all 20s and 30s, when y'all had the opportunity to fight and push back against a lot of things that were happening in our community, y'all spent your time out partying, not giving a damn about politics, letting the community get worse in front of your own eyes. Y'all all saw this stuff happen and then did nothing about it. And okay, I get you can say, well, we didn't know this and that. But when you didn't do anything and you still don't consciously understand what the hell has been going on, don't get out here and act like you are some kind of leader in the community that we need to listen to. Because many of y'all still don't know what the hell is going on. And so why don't you take a couple of seats and sit the hell down? Because when you had your time to take care of the community and try to be a leader, you did not do that. In fact, like I said in my tweet, which I'll get back to in there, many of you, especially like were the younger boomers or Gen Xers, many of y'all were the ones who were out selling drugs in the streets, which degraded the community. But now that you clean yourself up, now you want to crap on the next younger generation who is going through a harder time period than y'all, which is partially your fault. So don't sit here on your high horse and try to degrade the younger community, especially even though I don't necessarily agree with everything that goes on or what's talked about on that channel. They are making an attempt to have educated conversations and question and dive into things and try to be a positive force for the community and try to represent the community. And they've gotten to a point where now they have politicians who decide that they need to come through there and actually try to gauge and get their voice out to the younger black community. Now you guys just sit on the porch and thumb your nose at it. And it's like, y'all haven't built up enough credibility to dare start pissing on everybody else who's trying to come up and trying to do something for the community. So y'all just need to go sit somewhere on that note. Chris, your thoughts. Oh, Chris dipped for a minute, but let me go into the tweet. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pull up the tweet, and this is what I said. Though his generation oversaw the black community going backwards and society as a whole, people like this still have the nerve to criticize the youth for trying to be engaged, while being smart enough to question and not always accept the narrative like them. Many of y'all on a lot of this like COVID stuff, where we've been criticizing and from day one calling out things that have been incorrect. Man, that's a big ass plane. While we've been calling out many things that have been going on, you guys at every turn have been pushing the narrative. I wouldn't be surprised if this dude thinks that Clyburn is a great Democrat. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember who's the one who passed away not that long ago. Who talked about the good trouble.
What's his name?
John Lewis.
John Lewis.
John Lewis was a part of the civil rights era, and then what did he do once he got into politics? Nothing. Many of those. Another example. The Jesse Jacksons. What's his name on MSNBC? The Al Sharptons. Y'all didn't do nothing but do a lot of damn talking, while the community has gotten worse off. But yet, y'all think that y'all are the leaders that we need to look to? I mean, it frustrated me. Let me see.
Yeah, no.
So Chris, here's what Chris had to say. Said he tried shitting on so-called black conspiracy theories. Yet his account is full of tweets regarding the trans topic. At the same time, he is a person of science. That's really there are really a lot of smart dummies outside. And of course,
Marcus.
I called him Black MAGA. I said, sad in the black community.
Marcus,
we
I went
can't
through
look to our
Homeboy's
elders
tweet.
for a damn thing. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I looked through the account, son. There's mad trans shit on there about, all in favor of them and, poor them. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I know exactly who we dealing with. Because how the fuck are you a black man and you tweeting about number trans shit? Something wrong with you, or you a plant. Either or. You're a Batiman or you're a plant. One of the two.
I look at it like this. I used to tell people all the time, I say, you know what? When I would hear people say Black trans lives matter, well, how about we just deal with Black Lives Matter in general? And shouldn't they fall up under Black Lives too? When you're putting this separation, what you're doing is you're focusing on this group in particular. And what about the rest of the group? Screw the rest of the group. Well, let's just focus on this group in particular. And my thing is,
I was gonna say they have us on this show from 2 years ago saying how it went from Black Lives Matter to Black Trans Lives Matter, and it's just yo, how the fuck you leapfrog to the front of the line, right? We were saying all of us matter. Obviously, you putting yourself,
Yeah.
you know, you're separating yourself. All right, if you want to be isolated, then you go over there. You know what I mean? Don't be mad when I call you. Don't be mad when I call you dudes, even though you got on wigs and makeup and you out here trying to pretend that you're something else. It is what it is.
Well, this is something that I criticized for the longest. When you had the civil rights era, the black community was pushing for stuff, and the problem is, and this sounds messed up, but when the black community was pushing for stuff, when every single body decided, let's all get in here and let's all do it, and we'll all fight for our rights together. That sounds good at first, but you know what I noticed that kept happening? Everybody else was getting taken care of except for the black community. I'm not hating on other communities, but it's like, yo, we started off trying to fight for our rights, right? And then, okay, let's see, you start having the women's, the feminist groups and the women's liberation. Okay, they're fighting for their rights. Okay, cool. We'll click up together and we'll fight the system. Then you started having the LGB, well, the lesbian, gay, and bi at that time. Then, okay, now we got this coalition. And then later on, towards the end of it, you started having more Jewish groups saying, well, we're going to fight for some rights too, which I don't know what rights, but that's a different story. But anyway, you had these groups who were fighting for these rights. And then once all of these different things happened, we noticed that only other groups were benefiting from it. We noticed the gay community, they just kept more and more rights off of this. They were doing great off of it. You had the feminist movement, they did great off of it. You had the Jewish community, they did perfectly fine off of it. And then as you started having the different immigration, which a lot of immigration out of Asia came in at that time, and were doing great off of it, especially when you start thinking about after Vietnam. You have whole areas out here in California which did great, the Asian community. Even the Hispanic community, I mean, being careful how I slice this because, you know, I'm definitely a BIPOC ally. I know I have all kind of different mixtures. So I'm not trying to shit on one side over the other.
We're not even going to use that market.
Well, I do for me, but my thing is I keep seeing how it's all right for other communities to get ahead and to get some movement. But when some of these other groups get their movement and get their step ahead, they don't reach their hand down to pull up the black community with them. What we especially see, especially from like the Indian American community, is a lot of shitting on the black community. Now, I would say more from the Asian community than any other so-called minority community. Is most of the shitting comes from the Asian community. And many of the Asians who came in got their rights off of black civil rights. And so when I hear somebody, well, what about
comprised and Marcus, just, you know, just for the ignorance who would catch your comment, you know, just explain that the Asian means more than just, you know, Chinese or Korean. It also applies to, you know, India, you know, Pakistan, things like that. You know what I mean?
That's and that's what I noticed. If there's anybody within the Asian community, now granted, and this isn't there's like I always say, there's always twos and fews in every single group which have solidarity, which help the black community. I'm not saying that. You have, of course, more allies within the brown community, and I'm saying Native Americans and Latinos. But when it comes to the Asian community in particular, there's a far less help that's coming from that side. And in fact, you have a whole lot more to say. More of that community, whether it's Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Indian, whatever, are not on the side of black people. And in fact, tend to push up a lot of the myths that come out of white supremacy. And then even even people who've come out of Africa, who've come to the States and benefited off of some of the things that have opened up, even though some of them still get oppressed the same way, they still decide to hop in and shit on the black community just as well. And so when I don't know where I was going on that rant, but when you start telling me this about old boy's account, it fired me up. Shout out to Philly Yards Vibe. It says Al Sharpton has become a Democratic centrist, vote blue no matter who. Exactly, that's my problem with them. These so-called black activists turn into gatekeepers and boule that have done nothing for our community.
You know, and the only issue I have with Philly's comment is that he says Democratic centrist. It should be Democratic operative, vote blue no matter who. That's the only minor change I would make to his. But you know, obviously,
shout out to him, Carr, too. He threw out Bobby Rush. Yeah, Bobby Rush, another one.
Oh, Hemp, what's up, Hemp? How you doing, man? Rockfin been acting up, that's why I haven't been on there. But yeah, Bobby Rush is the one who met with Bill Gates prior to coronavirus, and they met in the continent in Africa. I came of Africa. I don't remember what country they met. My brain is, drawing a blank at the moment. But yeah, Bobby Rush, it's ironic because, he started how he started. He was a panda. And, he turned out to be, just another slave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and what you look at when you start looking to a lot of these people, let's drop this down for a minute. For those who are new to watching the show, y'all might not be familiar with this portion, but for those who are not familiar with Prince Hall Freemasonry, most of these black leaders you're gonna find out, and black entertainers, fall up under Prince Hall Freemasonry.
All with that. They all with it.
They all part of the Divine Nine, all the way up to like a Kamala Harris, the Roland Martins. All of them are all part of the black gatekeepers. And as they benefit and sit at the top and prosper, they keep down the rest of us. And so as long as they bag it nice, look at Clyburn. Clyburn is the perfect example. He's the poster boy for it. He's been sitting in Congress all this time, doing well, making money, and his community is literally his district is one of the worst districts in Congress. But he don't care because Clyburn is doing good. Clyburn is straight. Hemcar had another one I wanted to read. Oh, well, I definitely care a lot about the missing Indigenous women and children. That's definitely an issue, which I care a whole lot about. But he said this here. He said in the movie Get on the Bus, I think they said Jews got help and left them behind. And it's true. If you look back to a lot of the early civil rights stuff, there was a lot of Jewish money that went in to help fund that. There was a lot of so-called partnerships. And then all of a sudden, that just kind of disappeared. I mean, and so that goes into a whole nother topic that I could go into. Do a special announcement. Don't get. Well, yeah. What else was I gonna say? WTF? Rush met with Gates. He gave the eulogy for Fred Hampton funeral. I believe that was his best man. I mean, the Boule class has done so much to hold back the black community. So let me read. Chris H says, the political matrix, what do you guys think about the left constantly complaining about identity politics and wokeness? Seems like they want to dismiss black issues, not fix them. My problem more in particular is they keep trying to conflate black issues with LGBTQ all the time.
Every single time.
LGBTQ is LGBTQ. That's not woke. And another thing, woke always had to do with the black community, always. But now all of a sudden, it's being like it's intertwined as the same thing, and it's not. And I want that clear on the record. I'm not even trying to attack anybody who pushes strong for LGBTQ, but these are two separate issues. Another thing I wanted to put out there, when people say the left and the right, I know in America, the understanding of how political parties classify and all that is completely warped from the rest of the world. I mean, I hear a lot of conservatives, they put all this stuff in the left, the left, the left. Culture war is not a left or right issue in actuality, because most of these people that you're going to see who fall into this so-called who they classify as woke, honestly, economically, are basically moderates to centrists. Some of them actually would have been classified as an old school Republican. And when you go into a lot of these other countries, culturally, most of them are the same. So if you have certain countries like Denmark and to a lot of these Nordic countries, a lot of them are atheists across the board, both parties. And so when it comes to LGBTQ across the board, whether you're left or right, they kind of agree on some of these things. Left or right has to do with economic policy, how you see things economically. It's not about all this culture war stuff. Just like if you get into certain parts of Africa or into South America, culture-wise, they might religiously, for the most part, agree and believe a lot of the same things. But one might be a capitalist and one might be a socialist. And so I wish
Marcus,
people in the States will start dividing. The economics is what makes you left or right, not your cultural beliefs, not being a conservative and believing in abortion. That doesn't make you right or left.
Marcus, what class of people, economically speaking, what class of people have the luxury to be concerned with their sexual identity over getting a fucking paycheck? Because
wealthy.
That's what I'm saying. So when we look at all this alphabet and people wanting to be called other things and transforming and all the rest of it, it's on the working class level. They don't have time to be focused on that shit. You know what I mean? You want to talk about trickle down. This is the shit that trickles down. The money doesn't, but this bullshit trickles down.
Mm-hmm.
The higher up the economic ladder you go, the more you have debates and discussions about who is what and who's sleeping with who and how do you characterize yourself, and you're caught up on pronouns. When you're too busy working and trying to provide for your family and live a normal life, pronouns, you don't even say the word pronoun. You know what I mean? You got to have a little bit of money, and I'm not saying that every once in a while that this issue doesn't cross over into the lower economic, the lower part of the economic ladder. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist there. However, the frequency of it is just not there. The weight that it is given on the upper end of the ladder does not exist on the middle to lower end of the ladder. So they kind of make it a bigger deal than it actually is. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, I in my personal circles, I don't even run into anybody. Like, I literally don't even know anybody who would be considered trans. But if I watch TV and watch social media, I hear so much emphasis put on, and when you focus into the communities of we're forgetting, like, the LGBTQ community as a whole is like actually like 5% of the country. But yet I'll see movies where literally 50% of the cast falls up under LGBTQ. And it's a very outsized. I mean, the show I just watched years and years, the main characters, it's literally 50-50 as far as the main characters being gay and straight. And I'm like, that's, and almost every show we're seeing, it's being very, very pushed. And that's coming because people in Hollywood and in these studios are deciding that they want to push what they feel is most important. And since most of them, their main issue has to do with their sexuality, it's being forced into their entertainment. And I don't have a problem with people identifying however they want to. That's fine and dandy. But can we not? Can we have some entertainment that's not focused so much on political agendas all the damn time? It doesn't have to always be about you. I mean, like here's another thing. When I hear about the whole trans sports thing, you know how many people actually even fall into that, whether you're for it or against it. It's a small percentage of people who are going to be dealing with it any damn way. But yet it's talked about as if it's something that majority of the country is going to have to deal with. There are so many issues like this that a small percentage of people on the right who are completely up in arms about it, and a small percentage on the so-called right, so-called left, who are for it, and they turn this into the major argument that we all need to talk about. I don't know. It just frustrates me that something like this, that because a handful of people with power who are for it, and then a handful of people who are against it with power, make this the argument for everybody to have to be in, when most of us don't give a damn about either side.
You know what, Marcus? It's effective because, they hit you with such stupidity that it's almost like, damn, I have to address this. And then, again, whenever you start looking at like the curriculum in schools and you see in which they're actually teaching children, and, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, I look, I care about all kids, right? I'm not, but at the same time, I got my own, right? That's my first and foremost. Thankfully, mine are a little older, so I don't have to deal with it. However, I do have younger cousins and shit like that, and I see what they're being told. I'm hearing about it, in family group chats and talks and texts and conversations and shit like that, because I'm close with the family, and I got a big family, so we're all over the place, up and down the ladder, all side to side, all over the country. So we get a lot of different perspectives, but they really are on the kids with this shit. So this is something that unfortunately I dislike talking about just as much as you, Marcus.
Yeah,
but they really are.
You know me, I don't. You know me, I don't like the subject. I dread when I have to talk about it.
I know, but they really are trying to change society to the point to where someone can look at you with a wig on and just be like, oh yeah, that's a woman.
Well, in Canada, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to change anything. I could look exactly the way I am and just say I'm a woman, and you could go to jail for disagreeing. But that's a whole nother conversation. But let me get on to these other couple topics before we get too far. But I agree with what you're saying there, Thomas. It's some, especially like when it comes to combat stuff that's like combat sports. I definitely have an issue with it. And yeah, we'll talk about that on another issue, because somebody had a perspective of they should just have weight classes and stuff like that. I'm like, you can't. That's not going to work either. Just having weight classes and then it's separate. I mean, it's a reason why it's a reason why they separate the sports that way. So I mean, that's just it. Yeah, I mean, well, Buck is probably just really big, Bob, and just haven't probably gotten to reading the message. I don't know. Probably maybe at Buck in a tweet or something, and maybe Buck will probably see it then. But I don't know. Twitter or X or whatever it's called has been weird now. So yeah, a lot of people don't always see each other's tweets. Let's see. So transition into the RFK. RFK on Math Papa. Now, what I said in general, I was saying that for RFK to have some of it's. I feel like this: if you know you're going to go onto a black show, and you know the younger black population care about reparations, it's kind of a number one issue for most of the younger black community. And if you know that you're against it, I don't know why in the hell you would go on a channel that you know you're going to be asked about that. That's not going to help, especially for RFK in general, because these older zombie black Democrats aren't going to listen to you. They voting for Biden, period. They're not even going to entertain you. So all you have left over who you're trying to seek in the black community is the young black vote. If you're against probably their number one issue, then it doesn't even benefit you to go on a Math Hoffa show, in my opinion. And for those who don't know, he basically said that no, he's against cash payments for reparations, and he would try to set up these kind of like basically like loans that he would do. I don't know. It was kind of a non-answer in a way, and a lot of tap dancing, and you know how his father really likes the black community, but hell no. I don't know, Chris, your thoughts?
Somebody has to go to the places like Math Hoffa show and tell niggas, no, you ain't getting shit, no matter how awkward it is. You know, maybe if it was, maybe if it was Rush Limbaugh they sent there, you know, Rush and his big mouth would have been like, you niggas ain't getting nothing. But, you know, they sent RFK there to tell him that. You know, Gavin Newsom is similarly about to struggle with that as well. That's why I find it funny on a political level. You have RFK running, saying what he's saying and doing what he's doing. The Democrats are saying Biden, but your boy Newsom from California looks like he's getting active, and he's about to have to make a decision on reparations, the topic that we're talking about. What you think Newsom gonna do, Marcus? You think Newsom just gonna be like, yeah, you know what, make it rain for them Negroes?
Hell no. I think what Newsom is going to do is Newsom's going to do like the same thing Newsom did with Medicare for all, basically. Oh, I support it, but I guess for some reason I can't do it right now. Basically, Newsom already kind of said we've kind of already.
He already said it.
He's basically already said we've kind of already did what we're going to do, so I don't really know what we need to do. Because everything is so great for black people in California.
He already made the comment. I mean, and this was, I don't know if it was last year or earlier this year, but
earlier
Newsom
this
made a
year.
comment. Yeah, Newsom made a comment regarding reparations that basically let you know that shit is dead in the water. So now as it comes back around, we're approaching election time, and it seems as if the Democrats are trying to low-key run Newsom. Every time this comes up, it's going to look bad. So this is very interesting, right? Marcus, politically, it is interesting from that standpoint. Are you going to run the 80-year-old who's fucking himself up, or are you going to run the guy who said, nah, niggas, y'all don't deserve no money?
I mean, I've already told black people, in my opinion, for one, like, and I liked Old Boy's pushback on Math Hoffa's show where he was like, you know, for people for non-black people who have an issue with reparations, it's not about y'all feelings. It's really not about how you feel about it. It's a debt that was owed. The government itself literally said it's a debt we owe you. And then what did they do? It's kind of like that dude who owes you money, and every time you see him, he try to run and say, "Oh, I ain't got it," or he's hiding. I'll pay you next week. And what happened is this government is continuously delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and avoided and dodged, and then now say, well, I don't owe you shit. It was so long ago. That's complete bullshit. That you're gonna just decide to push it off because you have the ability to push it off and duck it. And now you're gonna tell the people, oh well, you should have did it a long time ago. Bitch, we've been trying to do it a long time ago. You the one that said that you weren't gonna fucking pay. You're the one who ducked this payment. And so and I've already said, if you look at it, the black community is at 13% of America. That's not factoring how many might be incarcerated, how many are kids who aren't even old enough to vote, and then not to mention the Sambos who are going like a Larry Elder who's going to say, no, the slave masters need to get some reparations. So we don't have no leverage, and the only real leverage we would have in this country is if all the black people who typically vote Democratic say, you know what, I'm gonna sit on my hands and I'm gonna let y'all lose to the Republicans, cycle after cycle after cycle. And then what that would do is that would galvanize not only the Democratic Party, but the white Democrats who aren't in favor of it also to say, hey, we got to bite the bullet. We got to just get in reparations because we're going to keep losing to these Republicans. That's the only way that black people can get it done, but they're not going to do that because they're too afraid of what they think Trump or DeSantis might do. And so if you don't have the willpower to say, you know what, screw this, I'm done. Y'all just deal with it, whatever. If y'all not going to do that, not much we can do. And here's the problem. It's not the younger group because just like with Biden, which we'll probably talk about a little bit more, a lot of the black males are like opting out any damn way. It's the older blacks, the zombie blacks who are so afraid of Trump that are still going to vote at that like they're going to vote most of them at like a 98% rate. And then you're going to have those ones who
you call them
they're
zombies.
The incrementalist blacks who they already sitting good. They got their nice house, car. They got money set up for retirement. And they just looking for another 20 years till they retire. They not doing shit either because they worried about Trump also. And so what you have is 75% of the black community that can vote is still going to be voting for the Democrats. And if they can pick up enough votes from other groups, they still gonna keep doing it. So therefore, those who think this FBA
with that one street.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Did I coin this statement? I don't know.
I don't know, but that's even funny to me.
the damn zombie blacks. You can't. There's nothing we can do with them. And as long as there's more of them than it does us, it is what it is. Well, I don't think Dems want Republicans to win, but not Trump. That's why. No, they don't. No, they don't. I think they're actually far more afraid of DeSantis. Honestly, I think there's some black people. They're gonna complain that they don't like Trump because Trump is going to just be fucking annoying for the next 4 years. He's somewhat funny and entertaining to some of us, but no, DeSantis is a problem. DeSantis is a whole ass problem that I do not want no parts of. And DeSantis will speed up our timeline of moving out of the United States. That's what'll happen.
Son, look, son is soft. Twinkie feeling soft. He ain't got no juice like that. It just seems like he does. Yo, he pissed off the way that him and his team and his campaign acted towards black people for saying, yo, dog, I don't like your education shit is cool, except I don't like this part. The way that they came at all the niggas for saying that, it effectively ended his campaign. the little bit of black support and like he would have had online enough to get him to like kind of like the second round of the basketball playoffs or football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He don't even have that. He's done. There is
He torched himself
at all.
Yeah,
Well, it's not just DeSantis. You got to remember that the legislature here, right? The makeup of the people in the state Congress, House of Representatives. You know, you have to think of all of like northwestern Florida, the west coast of Florida, the middle of Florida. You have to consider all of that. The voting bloc who would oppose that really is in Tampa, Orlando, and South Florida, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade County, and Broward County.
Well, some in
Other than
Duval
that,
too.
and then some in Duval. But other than that, the rest of the state is going to vote Republican, is going to vote very conservative, and is going to vote sometimes, most times, if not every time, racist, right? But that's just something you have to deal with. So DeSantis is just playing a role from the people who are most contributing funds to his agenda and to his campaign. He don't even believe any of that. He's an international Zionist, Ron DeSantis is. He's not a fascist on some, I hate the American black person or I hate black people. He's not. He's your George Bush. He's your Bill Clinton. He is your Barack Obama. That's who he is politically. You know what I'm saying? But what he is not some dyed in the wool. I hate Negroes and I hate this. A lot of this shit is being put on his desk. He is a Zionist first and foremost.
Yeah,
They hate
I agree.
everyone equally. They don't have a bone to pick for just one group. They hate everybody who's not them.
Especially South Florida. Especially that South Florida, you know, who's basically backing him. And I guarantee you, you look close enough, you're gonna see a lot of Zionists who are pushing a lot of the narratives that he's pushing. Well, them and the racist Cubanos.
Well, son, you know what's funny? Oh, you know what's funny about all the people who complain about DeSantis and say that he's racist. That he didn't tell the prisons that they should make license plate with the Confederate flags on them. He said, but you should be making license plate with the Israeli flag on them in the state of Florida, saying that we stand united with Israel. Again, he could have had the Confederate flag. He could have put something to show that he was more involved in the American political scene than he was on the global political scene. And that's what he chose to do. So that's why when people would be talking to me about DeSantis in certain ways, I'm just like, I'm able to see it for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's the same as RFK in that way. I mean,
yes, correct. And Marcus, let's take it to this way, right? If you're a Zionist and you're into supporting Israel to the extent to which all American Zionists support Israel, that means your foreign policy is going to be about death and destruction for a lot of other people. So it's like, let's not look at that and just like, he's good on one fucking thing. Oh, look, he was good on pushing back against Corona. You know who else was good on pushing back against Corona? Ron DeSantis. I mean, that's the one thing I have to give DeSantis, right? That he didn't choose to try to lock down the state in the way that a New York or Illinois or a Pennsylvania or a California was shut down, right? He basically was like, guys, do whatever you want to do. On that note, was I okay with it as I lived through it? Yes, I was. Anything else, I don't mess with the guy. But
Yeah.
RFK would just hit you with the same kind of bullshit that Trump did or any other president. Look, they gave me information that I didn't have before. So now I have to move off my original position because I don't want a million people to die a day from something. So it would be the same shit if RFK was president. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how hyping up his candidacy is doing us any favors because he is a Zionist. He's going to lead like every other Zionist: Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and the rest of them.
You know, somebody made a really strong point. I can't remember who said it. Actually, I remember who said it now. Shout out to Do Dissidents. Trying to remember which. I can't remember which one said it. So apologies for that. But Do Dissidents. One of them said RFK is just, he's trapped basically, like his political leanings. He's trapped as a 1970s Democrat. That's where he is. He's basically where the Democrats were in the 1970s.
Ooh,
on all of his
RFK?
policy points. RFK. That's where he
Oh,
is. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good assessment. I didn't really think of it that way. But that's what you're going to get out of Metro Dreams. Says, it hurts to see how Pasta Jardula is up RFK's butt cheeks. And I mean, I heard Pasta's reasoning. Pasta gives a whole lot of credence to the COVID narrative and censorship. And I feel like that leaves him ignoring a lot of problematic stuff with RFK. Pasta's still my buddy though, but I disagree with him, on that, quite a bit. I don't. His policy as far as backing Zionism, that's far more problematic than the positives that come from RFK. And then also when I hear about the fact of RFK is basically stealing the talking points of Dr. Shiva and not giving credit, that's problematic for me too. I mean, I said before a couple months back, I said this a couple months back that, and I'm not trying to crap on Cornel West, but since there is no Bernie this time around, to deal with all the frustration that's the non-Biden leftists, the ones who wouldn't touch Biden with a 10-foot pole. How you keep a lot of that pressure off of Biden instead of having people protest him and do all the same stuff which they did to him last time around. You put a Marianne Williamson out there, which Marianne Williamson kind of soaks up the Bernie / I can't remember her name, the one who Elizabeth Warren. That's that kind of factor. She soaks up those voters and keeps their attention. Then you have the ones who, some of them are kind of go, some of the rest of those Bernie supporters, some of those, they're going to go more for Cornel West. And then the group who they kind of lean with a little bit more of a libertarian lean to them, they're going to go more toward, and that's the Tulsi, the more Tulsi Gabbard kind of, the Bernie Tulsi Gabbard, supporters. They're the new RFK supporters. And so basically you've taken away to, and I would say probably for Yang, that's the Vivek. I don't even know. I'm not even trying to say his name because I don't respect him and I don't like him. But anyway, the Vivek. He's over here. Vivek is taking the Andrew Yang supporters. You have Marianne Williamson to take up the Bernie / Elizabeth Warren. You have Cornell to take up the other half of the Bernie supporters, and those are the ones who are more economically and against the war machine. The anti-imperialist left will go more for the Cornell West, and then the ones who are anti-imperialist but kind of have more of a libertarian strain, those are the RFK supporters. And so now instead of having one sheep herder, now you have a Voltron put together of sheep herders.
Correct.
So that's how
That
I
was
see
great,
all of them.
Marcus, that was fire.
Oh, thank you, sir. But that's, I mean,
No, that was
they
a fire
found a
breakdown.
way. They found a way to take anybody that would be in the anti-Biden camp and give you a candidate. And then for those who are going to be the real far out there ones who normally would have been for a Green Party candidate, who would be, a Jill Stein or a Ojama Baraka, then you got some of the other lesser known people who are far out there. For the people who are deep in the weeds of the politics, they're gonna know about some of these other candidates and put their put their energy behind them. So they found a way to sheep herd all the opposition to Biden, keep them occupied as they rig through primaries and all that, get Biden across the hump so he doesn't have to do anything. And then since they know that if Biden was facing any other Republican than Trump, then you're not going to be able to leverage the outrage of the black community. And so that's how they're going to reel some of these black voters, especially black male voters, who right now are very, very upset with the Biden administration. They're going to hit you with that. So do you want to get stuck with Trump? And then get that lesser two evils argument going. And that's how their pathway to get Biden back in the office and eventually hand it over to Kamala.
And I honestly think there's going to be less black male voters for the Democrats than even what they think.
Oh yeah,
Because,
definitely.
Because if you try to compare it to 2020, which I told you, my opinion on 2020 is that they completely lied and cheated. They did what they did to make sure they got their guy in there. So all the numbers from 2020 are going to be off. We have to go back to see when people get outside and lined up. Then we'll see what's what. You know what I mean? But that whole scenario from 2020, I'm telling you, yeah, I don't believe any of those numbers. The numbers for the Black American male voters is going to be way lower for the Democrats than they anticipate.
Oh, I think so too. That's the reason why they're angling so hard for Trump. Because you can see now more and more and more this Trump stuff is starting to fall apart. It just is. Sorry, I was reading comments up, but and that's the whole dilemma Biden's going in. I think I saw somebody say something about a debate with DeSantis versus what was it, Gavin Newsom? The only reason why I think that's not gonna, that might be just something he's doing to get some ratings. Newsom is trying to keep himself in the wings, because what's going to happen is Newsom's going to end up being Kamala's VP when Biden steps down. I mean, the hooks are already in both of them. They're already so politically corrupt. They got to have somebody who's going to tote that line. And I know some people, and they can't find a way to move Kamala out of that spot. They just can't. There's no way around it, because the moment they do that,
not without major pushback.
Yeah, the black women, the black female vote would lose it. They would go nuclear. You cannot do that. But they know they can fuck around the black men. They know they can get away with that. Well, I don't think that I think they're willing to get. I think they're willing to try black men because I don't think they have the respect for them.
Correct.
And they're like, "You're gonna bring your ass home like we told you to do, boy." And that's what I think it is. They think that they can just bully us into the vote, and I think that they're gonna be. I think they're gonna be surprised that it's not gonna necessarily work out the way that they think. And I won't say what I want to actually say. Because, well, Metro Dreams. I don't think Kamala actually is, in my opinion. I mean, literally, more of her is Indian than anything. The same amount of her that's supposedly black is also white, also. So, and when do you categorize the 15% of yourself as the main part of yourself? How does that make any sense? How much sense would that make if I tell everybody, no, you're only going to refer to me as a Native American man? Really, like only a percentage of me that would fall back to my Native American ancestry.
Exactly.
Not a major percent. I just enough to be on a rolls for just enough to be qualified to get some benefits from the tribe that I align to. But that's it. But majority of me would still not. That's what I'm saying. It's like if Chris, you found out Chris had some Asian in him, and now Chris is going to start saying I'm Japanese now. That's the equivalent of what Kamala is doing, calling herself a Black American. And everybody's allowing this bullshit. It blows my mind how everybody allows it. This woman is an Asian. She's more Indian, not even just Asian. She's more, was it Tamil? She's more Tamil Indian than anything.
Tamil.
But yet everybody's allowing, because she went to a black sorority, for her to just walk around saying she's a black woman. Not thinking about anybody. Somebody who's 99% white can go to a HBCU. It does not stop you from doing that. And they can even pledge. Because there are some white people who are in some of these pledges. I don't know if y'all knew that. But it's a little game that they're playing. All right, so we're going ahead. I think we talked about Biden a little bit. We didn't have to go much into that. Biden has been struggling right now with the black vote. And it's
not even, Marcus, the funny thing is, Biden is just a name, right? The team behind him is struggling, because at this point, I think a majority of people who are politically, at least somewhat politically aware of things, they have to, and even if you are favorable towards Biden, they are even starting to admit that this charade can't carry on much longer.
Yeah.
Despite them working their hardest, they're also signaling that despite our efforts, we know we're going to fail. This is a dead end road. If we continue on down this road, we're going to have a problem. So that means, we'll start to see more of Gavin Newsom all over the place. And I really don't think that they have another, I don't think they have anybody else in the dugout or on the sideline or on the bench who
they got who they want next.
Who do you think, though?
Pete, you got to remember. Yes. Yep. Because I know how that sounds, but think about it. Before Biden started surging again, all the Wall Street, all the big banks, everybody had their money on Pete. They all were pushing Pete. Think about, remember in Iowa how they played the games with it and the media was behind him and all that. They want Pete. And if it's not Gavin right now, it's going to be Buttigieg right behind her. And then I think Kamala is not going to be able to make it, so they're going to let her do her one term, and their goal is eventually we got to get Pete in there, because I'm telling you, the higher ups, I believe they are fiending for their first gay president.
You think so?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
No,
Most definitely.
Yeah, but then there's not enough people to make that happen yet. They would
That's
need a
why they're gonna
chaotic
push him as a
situation.
VP. That's why they're gonna push him as a VP.
Correct. Yeah,
To build his profile.
But yeah,
Yep.
Booty Juice ain't got no chance at this in 2024. So he'll just have to chill.
Well, that's the thing. That's why they're trying to prop up him and Gavin Newsom. Both of them, they already got them completely hooked in. They got the money in them, so they're gonna see which one focus tests better. That's all they're doing. And one of them is going to get pushed up. But we'll hit our last topic real quick. I wanted to go into the Jamie Foxx situation. Of course, we all know about his movie, They Clone Tyrone. If y'all haven't seen it, please see it. We are going to do a breakdown on that coming soon. But this ain't about the breakdown. I titled it, What's Up with Jamie Foxx? Because right after he did the movie They Clone Tyrone, then he has the heart issue. And then all of a sudden now he's, now people are saying, oh, well, they cloned him. I don't think that they actually cloned him. I don't know. They could have, they might not have. I don't know. But, right after that, this is why I don't think that they cloned him, because now they start trying to start some crap with him. For those who I don't know if y'all heard about it or not, now they're trying to hit him with the anti-Semitism thing. Did you hear about it, Chris?
No. Jamie
No,
Foxx?
you hadn't? Yes. Basically, his tweet, well, it wasn't a tweet, it was Instagram. What he said, let me pull it up. Let me see. It is because I tweeted about it on I did it on my Hebrew apologetics page. This person, Aviva Klumpus. Well, let me go to the actual what he said and how they took it as him being anti-Semitic, and then we'll go into the pushback. And so let's see. Jamie Foxx offers his deepest apologies after being accused of anti-Semitism in his post. If you guys are wondering what his post said, says, okay, that's talking about. Oh man, that's his apology. Well, he basically said something about basically being betrayed by friends, and he's talking about, this dude. Let me see. Let me just find the Instagram.
He said he was betrayed.
Yeah, Instagram.
Marcus, you said he was. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that.
It said, damn it, why is it not showing it? I can't find it. I was trying to find the exact one, what he exactly said. Might have to go back to Twitter or X or whatever the hell they're calling this damn thing. But because this is like, this was the #1 trending story on Twitter.
Which one?
Oh, there it is. They killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? # fake friends, fake love. That's what he tweeted. That's what he put on Instagram. They killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? Now, they took that as he's talking about Jewish people. But he was talking about, yeah. And I don't think people, maybe the Jewish community, maybe because they don't understand, maybe they don't know the Bible well enough to know what, if somebody's saying that, they're typically talking about Judas. As everybody knows, Judas is basically like, even if you don't know the Bible, it's like a moniker for somebody who betrays you, a Judas. And that's what they're talking about, a fake friend, a Judas. It is not some, and so back to my tweet. Well, back to the tweet which I retweeted. She said, actually, sorry, tongue tied. Let me put it on the screen so you guys can see it. So you guys can see what was said here. So she put in here, the accusation that Jews murdered Jesus has been used to justify violence against Jews for centuries. In fact, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, presided over the trial of Jesus and gave the order for his crucifixion. And then she goes into a bunch of other bullshit. Which the reason why this is stupid, for one anyway, is he's talking about just people being a Judas. They took it a whole nother angle. But I mean, if I now I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of Bible just for a second. Just for a second. I know everybody's not don't love hearing Bible stuff, but I'm gonna give you this. And I think if anybody out there is Jewish, they might need to hear this so they can know. Oh, wait a minute. KJV. Maybe because this is in the Bible. I don't think they understand this. It says, then gathered, this is John 11:47 through, well, I don't know if I'll read the whole thing, but actually, let me put the screen, switch it back and forth so you guys can be able to see this. For Jewish people who think that, oh, they're just trying to come after us. This is John 11:47. Then gathered the chief priests of the Pharisees council and said, what do we do? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that year, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for the nation, and not only and not for that nation only, but that also should gather together in one of the children of God that were scattered abroad. And then from that day forth, they took counsel together to put him to death. So anybody who said the Jews didn't kill Jesus, I think for one, you don't know the Bible. Now, granted, a lot of Jewish people don't take the New Testament for being real. They don't accept the New Testament. That's fine and dandy. But why are you so defensive about Jesus when, do y'all know what a lot of the Jewish community believes about Jesus? They believe Jesus is boiling in hot shit. That's what they believe of him. And that his mom was like a hairdresser and a prostitute. So anytime you have somebody pushing this anti-Semitism and Jesus stuff, nip them in the bud real quick and remind them what their own rabbis teach. Just wanted to put that out there real quick.
No, not at all.
I don't know. But and back to my tweet. What did I say? I'll finish out what my tweet was. I said, thin-skinned response of the week. Ignore Caiaphas in the Bible. Ignore the disdain from Jesus in the Talmud. Jump to victimhood. Imagine being so dumb you believe this. So that was my tweet about this, and I wish he would have told them all to kiss his ass and not apologize for shit. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Streets.
Yeah.
But that was and we're gonna. Oh yeah. By the way, for those who have not seen Years and Years, if you have HBO, go and check it out. It's only 6 episodes. It's a show from 2019. Go check it out. For those who don't have HBO, just look up the clips. You'll be able to look up every clip you can of it. You'll be able to see the most impactful stuff. And if you follow me on any social media, let me know. I sent Chris like 4 or 5, I think 4 of it. Oh, it's one more that I got to send you, Chris.
Yeah, I think it was 5, but maybe it could have been 4.
But it goes into a lot of crazy stuff, and I guess I can just leave it there. I'll leave it there for now. But because I want everybody to go in and actually look into this show. And after you looked into this show, then we'll talk about it. So I'm not spoiling it for everybody. But yeah, that's what I'll say. Look into it, and we'll talk about it. What was that, Chris?
Which show?
Years and Years.
Okay.
Yeah, you got HBO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's only 6 episodes. Check this shit out.
Okay.
Hey, it's fun. Oh, Meteor Dream said, you shit on Christianity, buddy. But every time they have a religious holiday, they take it really serious and push an anti-Christian agenda. Oh, there's a video that I can show you. If you really, if anybody who's a Christian out there, if you really knew what it says in the Talmud, like their beliefs towards Christians and what they believe, especially towards America in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that before you start listening to all these fake crocodile tears and this victimhood shit.
Yep.
But yes, Streets, that's the one. Years and Years, 2019. You know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure Burmis has probably done a breakdown on this shit too. But you'll be surprised.
I'll put that on probably tomorrow.
But yeah, on that note, I mean, I guess we're gonna leave it there. Exactly, Streets. Exactly. But on that note, we're gonna leave it there. Glad you guys came to join us. For the new people who came to join us, man, we appreciate that. Shout out to everybody. Hopefully y'all having a good weekend. For Hebrew Apologetics, I might be back either tomorrow or Monday. I know with vacation and all that stuff, I've kind of been out of the loop, but make sure you guys follow that. If you're not following me on TikTok, make sure to look me up on TikTok, Young Morpheus Cage. And thank you all. Y'all have a good evening.
Peace out, everybody.
All right.